Hello there, and welcome to a new series I'm calling Grief Baking. For context, before my mom passed away in February of 2020 unexpectedly, she made us, meaning me and my two older brothers, a family cookbook, complete with a table of contents for soups, beverages, baked goods, main dishes, whatever you can possibly think of, miscellaneous things, of all the things that we would want to make so that we had a reference point when we were off on our own doing things. No, I'm very lucky that a lot of these recipes I have gluten-free equivalents for because I myself am a celiac. I have to eat that way. It is not by choice. I got diagnosed in 2011. I've become an old hack at it at this point. But there is one recipe that we have never gotten to. We never did any kind of accommodations for, and I have tried once before, and it didn't quite hit. It was fine. It kept its integrity. It did what it needed to do, but it had the gluten-free flour flatness at the end and in the baking process, which if you are a gluten-free person, you will understand what I am talking about. Now you may be thinking, well, Sarah, just find another recipe. I cannot, for this recipe came from the Pennsylvania Dutch church cookbooks in the middle of central Pennsylvania. And if you understand anything about central PA Dutch and the church cookbook, this is the one I have to have. So with the assistance of ChatGPT, which is probably the sole thing I've ever really used it for, it helped me scale down a massive recipe to a test batch. And when I say massive, we're talking this cutout cookie recipe alone, depending on the thickness of how you roll your dough and reuse and re-roll your dough, makes 8 dozen cookies. The thing has a pound of butter used in it. That's what we're working with. So come with me on this journey as I attempt to make gluten-free cutout cookies as someone who can't really remember the taste of the original, but sort of remembers the taste of the original. Come with me on that journey. First things first, because I'm my mother's daughter. Let's do this. Second thing first, wash your hands. Now we are going to put everything into this bowl, pop it on my KitchenAid mixer, and then go from there and start off and then figure out what we need to add. So we're starting at a base level and then we'll add in other things. My thought process going into this is exclusively the vanilla and the molasses that have to go into this because that usually overrides and adds your depth of flavor without messing with structural integrity of the cookie itself. So we're going to start off with 3/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of flour. That I am using the gluten-free measure for measure flour from King Arthur because it is the closest 1-to-1 ratio because your xanthan gum is already included in it, which for those of your non-gluten-free people, that adds your elasticity into everything that you're doing. Now, as I add my flour, everything is there. I also have melted my 5 tablespoons of butter. I'm letting it cool because you never want to add hot butter because you're also adding an egg. You don't want the heat to do weird things. And now I'm going to add my sugar. All right, I've now added my sugar, added my egg, also added my scant 1/8 of a teaspoon. That is what ChatGPT told me, a scant 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and baking soda. I now have, my butter is still doing its cooling thing. It's just 5 tablespoons of salted butter. I'm not particular with my butter. It is what it is. Now, the 2 core things that I believe are going to have a most impact in this process. We are adding a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla to the things. 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla in, and a whole teaspoon of molasses. And I like to do a heaping teaspoon, because the molasses likes to stick and do weird things. Now across the board, this is the consistency. Focus, thank you. This is the consistency we want because this is going to go into the freezer overnight, or not the freezer, the fridge overnight and chill because it does have to harden up so you have something in order to actually roll it. Let us taste. If you are a person who feels like I should not eat cookie dough because it has raw egg in it, this is not the video for you. And I'm sorry it took us, almost 4 minutes for us to get there. It's very close. It's got the flatness. So we're going to add more of our vanilla and our molasses. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to take another 1/4 teaspoon of the vanilla because that would bring us basically just doubling that vanilla, adding more of that flavor. And you know what? Let's just we measure vanilla sometimes with love in a recipe. So we added our vanilla, and then I'm going to add another half a teaspoon of the molasses. So that'll put us at 1.5 of the molasses and half of vanilla. I think that maths. This smells delightful, and I promise you it is not nearly this orange in person. It is not pumpkin, but it smells so good. And we want it to have this relatively firm texture. That is exactly what we want, because that's going to hold up. And then we're going to take it out, roll it in our hands eventually, and do everything. But we're going to pop this into the fridge and have it chill. But first we taste test again. Did I hit it on the first try? There's a little bit of graininess on the back end, but it may bake out when I actually go to bake it, because we do cover it with like the little sugar crystals. So it will have some sweetness to it, and that can counteract a lot as well when it bakes. So stay tuned. A part 2 will come when we make these and we roll them out and we make shapes and wonderful things. Come back for part 2, I guess.